All I have in this world is my balls and my word, and I don't break them for no one. Do you understand?
Rightio legends, Chaos Chronicles, and so today we're doing more of these Underbelly's Most Feared, my new series. And so today we are going to be doing a video on Jason Moran. But before I do that, guys, if you guys haven't already jumped down there and shot me a subscription, please take this time to jump down there, shoot me a subscription. Now's the best time to join my channel. We're about to embark on bigger and better things, but if you haven't already done so, please jump down there, shoot me a subscription, and that would be absolutely appreciated. If you hit that little bell icon, you will never miss any of my clips again. All right, so let's get into it. So who is Jason Moran? So if you guys haven't seen the Underbelly, the Melbourne one, the very first Underbelly that was brought out about the gangland killings between Carl Williams and other people, and so Jason Moran had a pretty big part in that. If you haven't seen that, I'll tell you a little bit about Jason. So Jason comes from a pretty big crime family that were pretty entrenched in the Melbourne underworld. And so Jason and his brother Mark, his half brother Mark, um, both were deeply entrenched into that world very early on. And so you know, amidst common misbelief, it is well known that in his earlier days, that although his size was quite small in stature, that Jason Moran was a bit of a psycho and was well known for being a pretty good street fighter in the streets, and was well known for being, you know, pretty psycho, and was well known for putting them together. And so, you know, they made a pretty big name for themselves. Although, even though his mum, his dad, his uncles, his dad is Lewis Moran, his uncle is Tuppence Moran or Les Moran, and his mum is Judy Moran, and so they were always going to be like slingshotted into that life. And so, you know, it's widely believed that, you know, they were a part of the Carlton crew, which was, you know, kind of the enemies of Carl Williams at the time. So, as a matter of fact, Carl Williams actually used to work for Jason Moran. And so what happened between them two actually started the Gangland Wars. So Carl used to work for Jason and was cooking for them, it's alleged. And, you know, it's widely believed that he was cooking behind their backs and dealing behind their backs, using their press and all their equipment to make his drugs, which made him quite big. But anyway, so they were brought to a park in Gladstone Park and had a meeting there. Whatever took place, it is alleged that Jason Moran shot Carl Williams. Although I believe no charges were ever laid over that, it is widely believed that is what happened. And so that actually kicked off the Gangland War. So, like, 100%, that was what kicked off the Gangland War. Carl was like, fuck this, like, I'm not going to get shot. And so he started getting his get back, you know. And so another thing that they were well known for. So another thing that a well-known thing that Jason Moran was known for was at the sports bar in Melbourne. So Jason Moran and Alphonse Gadgetano were both charged, and over a very serious attack that took place, where it's believed that they only done that attack because the person wasn't paying his protection money or something like that. It was a disagreement what they had with the owner of the club anyway. And so they went in there and literally just started smashing people's heads in, with pool cues, pool balls, everything. You know, people were stabbed, people were seriously injured. And so what actually happened out of that was, so Alphonse Gangitano pleaded guilty, and he said that he was turning his life around, and he pleaded guilty. But I don't think what he knew what he was doing when he did that. So him pleading guilty automatically, if you are charged with a co-offender and only one of you plead guilty, that automatically means that your co-accused is guilty as well. So you saying that you're guilty and your co-accused saying that you're not guilty, and if you plead guilty, automatically labels your co-accused as guilty. So there was a bit of an animosity over that, and then it was led to believe that there was a bit of animosity over a female that Jason was seeing, and Alphonse Gangitano was seeing her behind his back. But then also the media kind of dubbed Jason Moran a dead man walking, as it was well known that he was wanted by quite a few people, and had quite a couple of attempts on his life. And so when he was released from prison in 2001, so he was on parole, but he was actually allowed to leave the country in fear of his own life, and the Victorian police allowed that to happen. And so so after that happened, it is believed that Alphonse Gangitano was unalived, and although it is very, very widely believed that it is Jason Moran that unalived Alphonse Gangitano, Birdie Route, which is that guy that was in that video talking that got shot by Ange Goussis and Keith Force, so that same guy later came out and said that although everyone thinks it was Jason Moran, he said it was actually Graham Kinnemborough. And is there any proof of that? Well, there's no proof. And all of these people are dead now. So I guess there is no way that you'll ever find out the truth of that. But I can tell you stories that people have told me about Jason Moran in prison. So they were running a pretty big syndicate in prison, or that's all I'll say. And they had things pretty much on lock in prison while he was in prison. But also, I've been told off a number of different people that they seen Jason Moran be let into Fulham prison and was able to just walk through the prison to go and visit people at certain units and in the cottages when he was not in that prison. So the prison guards have just allowed him inside that prison and allowed him to just walk around like he owned the joint, I suppose. And I have been told that story off so many different people. So probably 5 or 6 different people have told me that story, that they actually seen with their own eyes Jason Moran when he was out of prison, walking around prison like he owned the joint when he wasn't even in prison. So the guards had just let him in there, and that's how much pull that he had. And then so I guess what is another thing is that it was pretty horrible the way that Jason Moran was unalived. It is believed that he was killed by the runner, which was Victor Brincat, and it was a putrid way to go. So himself and his so-called bodyguard was brutally killed in front of young children and stuff. It happened at an Oz kick, and if you guys don't know what Oz kick is for young kids that are 5, 6, 7, 8 years old, too young to play in proper football clubs. It's for only little kids. And so not only that, his children were in the back at the time. So, and yeah, I just think it's absolutely fucking putrid. And I think that, the way that he went, there was no need for him to go that way, and especially in front of his children. And I know that a lot of people are on the same level as me when it comes to that. They believe that, it was a putrid thing to do, and it was the wrong thing to do. So what's actually crazy, and a lot of people probably don't even know, is Jason Moran's wife was Les Kane's daughter. Now, if you don't know the story about Les Kane, so Les Kane was Brian Kane's brother. So they were part of the Painters and Dockers. They were very, very well known Melbourne criminals, very feared Melbourne criminals. Anyway, so Jason Moran's wife was Les Kane's daughter. So if you don't know, Les Kane had threatened to kill Les Moran's no, Les Moran had threatened to kill Ray Chuck Bennett's children. And so Ray Chuck Bennett actually got a hold of Les Kane before he could get hold of him. But he actually went into the house, grabbed the children, put the children in a spare bedroom, and then literally used a machine gun and shot him hundreds of times inside that house. The body was never ever found. It was just a big bloodbath. But like what people wouldn't even know is that poor lady, Jason Moran's wife, had actually lost her dad to very, very similar circumstances. So an underworld killing nonetheless. And so that poor lady had lost her dad to the same circumstances, very brutal gun crimes. And I think that a lot of people wouldn't even know that about that. So I thought that would be a very, very, very interesting piece to add in there. And yeah, so the only person left from Jason Moran's crime family is his mum, I believe. I believe she's still alive there, and yeah, she will probably die in prison. I'm pretty sure she got 30 something years for organising the killing of Jason's uncle, Tuppence or Des, whatever they want to call him. But yeah, Jason Moran, was known as one of the most violent people in Melbourne at the time, and had done a fair bit of prison for violent crimes. And although I never done prison with Jason myself, I done prison with a lot of people that done prison with Jason, and have recanted this for me. And he was well known for being a very, very violent person right to the end. And well, there you go, guys. That's my take on Jason Moran. And yeah, if you guys have got anyone else you'd like me to do one of my Underbelly series on, chuck it down there in the comment section of this video, and I will absolutely do that for you guys. And also, once again, if you haven't already subscribed, please jump down there, shoot me a subscription. Now's the time to do so. And if you hit that bell icon, you will never miss any of my clips again. You'll get a notification on whatever device you watch me on. And yeah, I have been the Chaos Chronicles. What do? We talk about everything crime, prison, Australia, around the world, but everything crime and prison related. And yeah, don't do drugs and crime and you won't end up in prison.
The Chaos Chronicles, where the darkness thrives. True tales of madness.